Yeah, my name's Gareth Davis. I'm 24 years old. I currently live in Cumbernauld and I have done for most of my life. And I work for a charity in Glasgow currently, which is sort of where most of my routine is set around. I normally wake up at around 7:30 on a typical weekday. I start work at 9:30, so this is a good time to kind of get everything done before I have to go out without rushing anything. First thing I usually do is eat breakfast. I will usually have cereal or toast, typically. If I have cereal, it'll be the Sultana brand, which is what my dad likes as well. While eating my breakfast, I'll usually be on my laptop, on websites such as Facebook, news websites. I'll be maybe replying to friends' messages on WhatsApp or Facebook, or checking work emails. After that, usually I'll get washed, I'll jump in the shower, which takes altogether, breakfast and washing takes me to around 8 o'clock, just after 8, 5 past, something like that. From there, I'll then head to work. I usually get the bus from the stop just outside my house, and I typically get the 8:15 bus, which enables me to get there on time very, very reasonably. It's not a far walk, the bus stop, so it's very close by, which is very helpful. The journey altogether on the bus from Cumbernauld to Glasgow takes about 45 minutes-ish, something like that, obviously depending on how busy it is and how many stops the bus has to make, but usually it takes no more than 45 minutes. On the journey on the bus, I don't really do much beyond maybe check my phone, go on WhatsApp, go on Facebook or something like that, and just talk to my friends. In fact, most days it's me on my group chats on WhatsApp talking nonsense to my friends, and that normally occupies the 45-minute bus journey. After getting off at Cathedral Street in Glasgow, I'll head to the Buchanan subway station, and I'll get the subway to the west end of Glasgow. Where I'll get off at the Kelvin Grove station, and from Kelvin Grove station I'll walk to my work, which is about 5 minutes. And altogether, depending obviously again on when the subway arrives and how long it can take anywhere from sort of 10 to 15 minutes altogether to get from Buchanan subway station to my work in the West End at Kelvin Grove. And I normally typically arrive at work, I'd say around 9:20, maybe just slightly after sometimes. And once at work, I'll head into the office, and I share an office with about 6 other people. We're a very talkative and sociable bunch. I'm the youngest person in the office, but that doesn't make any difference really. We're all very sociable and very outgoing, so it's quite a nice environment to work in. And people are always asking me if you want a cup of tea, especially the older people. There's like an older woman in the work who's always asking me if I want a cup of tea or I want a biscuit or something like that. So they're always very friendly. So a typical day at work in the office is normally full of a lot of social interactions and a lot of just chatting and asking and talking to people and things like that. So what I actually do at work, I work as a researcher. Like I said, I work as a researcher for a charity in Glasgow, and part of the international development charity. So they're focused on things like climate change, things to do with Brexit currently. Giving aid to countries in Africa and Asia and things like that. And so part of my work as a researcher involves parliamentary monitoring, and this entails following the daily activities at the Scottish and Westminster parliaments, such as debates, First Minister's questions, committee meetings, that sort of thing, and summarising which pieces of legislation and debates are most relevant to the charity that I work for. So like I said, focus on issues such as climate change. If there's like a piece of legislation that's important to my work, to the charity that I work for, then I'll summarise what's going on at the Parliament, how it's most relevant to us, and then pass that on as a report to my bosses. Like I said, it's a sort of small summary, and I'll write up that information. I coordinate with the bosses about how this affects us and how we're going to tackle it when it comes to lobbying politicians or getting politicians to see our side of things on political issues. These activities, the parliamentary monitoring side of things, takes up most of the morning from about 9:30 until 1 o'clock normally, so this till the start of the afternoon. And at 1 p.m. I usually go for lunch. Depending on the day, sometimes I'll go out for lunch, sometimes I'll make my own lunch, bring in a sandwich or soup or something like that. But if not, then I'll go out to this local cafe not far from where my work is, near Kelvin Grove, which is where me and my colleagues will normally go out and have lunch together. Or occasionally, if I've got friends at the University at Glasgow, the University of Glasgow nearby, and I'll maybe meet them as well for lunch if they're free at the same time. So for the lunch break usually lasts from about sort of 30 to 45 minutes, depending on sort of how busy we've been in the morning and how much we've still got to do in the rest of the afternoon. So it's quite good. You get a good time to sort of get a break from work and socialise and talk to people and sort of generally just chill out. The second half of the day, from about 1 o'clock until 5ish, typically involves writing reports about whatever is the sort of the current issue that we're working on as a group. For example, a lot of things a big issue that I've recently been working on with my team is researching on gender issues in the countries that the charity works in. So the charity works in, like I said, African and Asian countries, and right now we're currently doing a big project on gender issues in these countries, so what the situation is for women in each of the countries here. So typically what I do with that for the rest of the afternoon is I'll have to look at a diverse range of sources and compile them into a comprehensive and succinct report for each country. So there was one recently on Malawi, there was one recently on El Salvador in South America, and one recently in India as well. And I'll summarise all this information and then compile it into a report from my boss, and we then pass it on to the policy team, who are then in charge of like directing, using that information to then shape policy in the country specifically that we're looking at. And also it's all about coordinating policies as well in those countries as well. I do enjoy my work. It is very busy. A typical weekday is quite intense, Monday to Friday. But I do find it very enjoyable. That's partly because the work itself is very interesting, and also because the group, the people at the work are a good bunch. They're very helpful, they're really interesting, they're a lot of fun, and that kind of helps make it, like I said, a very productive and interesting working environment to be in. And it's definitely something, as an area I'd like to definitely stay in professionally as I stay on. As I said, work usually finishes at about 5 o'clock, and I'll sort of leave at about 5, jump again on the subway or at Kelvin Grove, from the subway get off at Buchanan Street, then head back to the Buchanan bus station, where I'll get the same bus I got to Glasgow coming back home. And altogether that can take from anywhere between an hour to maybe an hour and 15 minutes or something like that. Usually arrive home after 6, depending, obviously it's like rush hour traffic, so town is very busy and the roads are very busy, so that can take a while sometimes. But typically I get home about 6:15, something like that. And depending on when I get home, I'll usually, I still live with my parents, so my mum might have made dinner already, or I'll usually make dinner for myself. I'm not much of a cook yet, I'm still learning, so I'm sort of still trying to improve my skills in that regard. I'll usually have something like, for instance, like last night I had a burger after I came home from work, or I'll usually have something like pasta or pizza or something like that. If it's a Friday night, then it might be slightly different in terms of where I go. I wouldn't normally come home. I might go out to socialise with my friends from university, or for some other people from work. We might stay out and go to a bar in Glasgow, in the West End usually, and we'll like sort of socialise. We'll go out, we'll have fun, that sort of thing. And I'll get home maybe slightly later than I would do on a weekday. On weeknights when I'm working, I'd usually try to go to bed for about 11:30, midnight maybe. To sort of, before I go to bed, I might watch something on Netflix. I usually try to read a book as well, so that helps me kind of doze off. Occasionally though, I've got a bad habit of staying up slightly later than I should, because that's not very good for, like, obviously if you're up every day at 7:30, you want to get a good night's sleep and make sure you're refreshed for the next day. Occasionally I'm quite bad at sort of letting bad habits develop and staying up later and sort of staying on to watch Netflix or keep on reading my book beyond a good time. So occasionally I might end up going to bed around 1 o'clock in the morning, which is something I'm trying to change, because it's not very good when you're waking up so early in the morning. So usually I try to get in around 8 hours sleep. That doesn't happen all the time, but it's definitely the best way, I think, to kind of get a good night's sleep at midnight and then wake up the next day and feel refreshed for the next day. And that usually is what happens on my daily routine from sort of beginning to end, yeah.